When Sarah Ferguson reached out to friends like Kate Moss and Charlie Butter for a final holiday get-together, it was clear this wasn't another glamorous royal soiree. With Andrew's connection to Jeffrey Epstein continuing to cast a long shadow, the couple's inner circle had thinned to the loyal few, those willing to appear despite headlines and judgment. Behind the gates of Royal Lodge.
If you love getting the real story behind the palace walls, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update.
This private event served less as a celebration and more as a show of quiet defiance against exile, scandal, and the royal silence that had increasingly surrounded them. The choice to host this final gathering in near secrecy speaks volumes about how far they've fallen. Once fixtures of royal life, Andrew and Fergie now navigate an existence shaped by reputational caution and social retreat. Their farewell is not just to a home, but to the kind of visibility they once enjoyed, traded now for guarded alliances and fading relevance in royal and public life. Prince Andrew is facing a Christmas that looks nothing like the ones he used to know. This is not about balcony appearances or grand church walks. This is about a man whose world has narrowed to the walls of Royal Lodge and the handful of people still willing to sit at his table. The story unfolding is quiet, restrained, and loaded with consequence. It is about a farewell party that does not look like a party at all, and a life that has shrunk under the weight of scandal and scrutiny. The gathering being discussed is meant to be private, intentionally small, and carefully controlled. There is no spectacle, no press-friendly charm offensive, and no attempt to reclaim public affection. What remains is something far more subdued. This is about holding on to a final sense of routine and dignity, even as the future of his living situation and social standing remains uncertain. The tone is not celebratory. It is defensive, almost protective. This moment sits at the intersection of memory and reality. Andrew is no longer operating from a position of influence or authority. Titles have been stripped. Duties have been removed. Public goodwill has evaporated. What is left is familiarity, habit, and the presence of people who have known him for decades. That context shapes everything about this alleged farewell. Sarah Ferguson is right there beside him, as she has been for years, even after divorce and public embarrassment. Her role in this moment matters because she represents continuity, while her public image has fluctuated over time.
If you love getting the real story behind the palace walls, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update.
She has remained personally loyal to Andrew, sharing Royal Lodge and sharing the consequences that come with it. This gathering is as much about her as it is about him. Her social world has always operated differently from the traditional royal mold. She has leaned into celebrity friendships and public-facing relationships rather than strict aristocratic circles. That history matters here because it helps explain who might still be willing to show up. This is no longer about status or proximity to power. It is about personal connection and shared history. Ferguson's presence at this gathering signals resilience, but also limitation. The circle is small because it has to be. Public association with Andrew now comes with reputational risk, and that reality has reshaped her own friendships. The Christmas gathering becomes less about festivity and more about endurance, about choosing companionship over isolation even when options are limited. Royal Lodge itself becomes a central character in this story. The house is not just a residence. It is a symbol of what Andrew and Ferguson are at risk of losing. Hosting one last Christmas gathering that carries emotional weight because the property represents stability, tradition, and royal proximity that may soon be gone. This is not a sprawling event. It is described as intimate and discreet by necessity. The lodge, once associated with prestige and permanence, now feels temporary. Every detail about the gathering reflects that awareness. There is an understanding that this could be the last time they entertain friends there under their own terms. The quiet nature of the event underscores the shift in their circumstances. Royal Lodge is no longer a backdrop for power or celebration. It is a shelter, a place where familiarity offers comfort against the uncertainty outside its gates. That contrast between what the house once symbolized and what it now represents defines the emotional core of this farewell. The shadow over this Christmas gathering is impossible to ignore. Andrew's association with Jeffrey Epstein continues to dominate public perception and has fundamentally altered his position in society. The release of Epstein-related documents, photographs, and emails has kept the issue alive, even without new legal action. These revelations have not accused Andrew of new criminal conduct, but they have reinforced a damaging association that refuses to fade. The effect is cumulative. Each document, each image, each renewed headline reinforces a narrative of disgrace and poor judgment. That narrative shapes who feels comfortable associating with him now. This context explains why the gathering is so small. Loyalty has become rare, and discretion has become essential. The people still willing to attend are those with long-standing personal ties rather than social ambition. The Epstein scandal has not just affected Andrew's public image. It has reorganized his private life. The wider royal family looms quietly over this situation. Officially, Andrew has been distanced and sidelined. Titles have been removed, and public appearances eliminated. The monarchy's response reflects an effort to protect the institution rather than the individual. Yet internally, the legacy of hierarchy persists. Reports suggest that some staff still treat Andrew with traditional deference, highlighting the tension between official policy and ingrained custom. This disconnect adds to the sense that Andrew himself may still believe in a status the public no longer recognizes. That tension defines a broader royal dynamic at play. The monarchy is navigating a shift toward accountability and public scrutiny, while individuals raised within the old system struggle to adjust. Andrew's situation illustrates that clash clearly. His Christmas gathering becomes a private moment unfolding against a backdrop of institutional change. The symbolism of this Christmas cannot be overstated. Royal celebrations were once expansive, public-facing, and rooted in tradition. This one is pared down, cautious, and almost invisible. That change reflects more than personal downfall. It reflects a recalibration of royal life itself. The gathering is shaped by secrecy because secrecy is now a form of protection. Fewer people mean fewer risks, fewer witnesses, fewer chances for headlines that could worsen an already fragile situation. The intimacy of the event is strategic as much as it is emotional. This approach marks a clear departure from the past. Where grandeur once defined royal festivities, now restraint does. The shift reveals how scandal reshaped behavior, forcing even those born into privilege to adapt to a quieter, more defensive existence. Andrew's remaining friendships tell a story of contraction rather than expansion. Figures like Lady Victoria Hervey and Charlie Butter are mentioned because they represent loyalty rooted in time rather than convenience. These are not fair-weather connections. They are relationships formed long before the current crisis. Their continued support highlights a divide within social circles. Some individuals remain loyal regardless of public opinion, valuing personal history over external judgment. That loyalty is rare, and its rarity emphasizes how much Andrew's social world has changed. This gathering, then, is not about reclaiming status. It is about preserving identity, about surrounding oneself with people who still see the same person they have always known, even as the world insists on seeing something else. For Ferguson, this moment reflects a broader adjustment. Her celebrity-oriented friendships once offered visibility and relevance. Now, they carry risk. The association with Andrew forces careful choices about who remains close and who keeps distance. Her connection to figures like Kate Moss speaks to her past social life, but the present reality is more cautious. Public association with controversy has consequences, and even long-standing friendships can be strained by that pressure. This Christmas gathering represents a narrowing of options rather than a celebration of abundance. It is about maintaining a sense of normalcy within constrained circumstances, about choosing to gather, even when the guest list is painfully short. As this chapter closes, the farewell at Royal Lodge feels less like an ending and more like an acknowledgement that life has changed, that influence has faded, and that the future is uncertain. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to like the video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. The Royal Lodge has long been a relic of aristocratic comfort, but now it serves as a quiet setting for a sobering reality. This alleged Christmas gathering isn't just a final toast, it's a full-circle moment, bringing decades of pageantry and privilege to a subdued close. The walls that once echoed with royal laughter now carry the weight of silence, privacy, and resignation. Andrew and Sarah are not hosting as senior royals or celebrated public figures. They are doing it as two people left behind by the institutions that once celebrated them. The choice to gather at Royal Lodge is steeped in symbolism. It's a last grasp of the familiar before the property, and everything it represents slips away. Every aspect of the event reflects caution. There's no palace press release, no glimmer of pomp, just a few known names, some loyal company, and a quiet knowledge that this may be the final time the house sees a Christmas tree under their roof. The lodge isn't just where they live, it's where they've retreated to survive the fallout. But the fallout isn't contained within Royal Lodge. It trails Andrew everywhere. His associations with Jeffrey Epstein, though legally unresolved in many respects, had defined his public identity. The weight of that association has grown heavier with every email release, every resurfaced image, and every new filing. While he has never been criminally charged in the U.S., the damage is reputational and relentless. Andrew's downfall isn't marked by one catastrophic moment. It's death by 1,000 revelations. There's no walking back the public's perception when the name Epstein is still linked to his in headlines around the world. Even the most cautious royal loyalists have distanced themselves. There's no strategy to clean this up, no comms team that can spin these associations into something acceptable. That's why this Christmas is quiet. It has to be. Hosting anything grand would feel tone-deaf in the shadow of such ongoing scrutiny. And make no mistake, this quiet isn't just about discretion. It's about separation. The rest of the royal family is reportedly keeping a clear distance. There are no joint holiday plans, no visible acts of support. Whatever ties may remain behind the scenes, the public message is one of detachment. Officially, the palace has already acted. Andrew was removed from his military titles and royal patronages. His Her Royal Highness status, while reportedly still used in private by staff, is not acknowledged in public forums. The message is clear. The institution is protecting itself. Still, it's hard to ignore the quiet contradictions. Royal protocols and family hierarchy die hard. Some staff are allegedly still bowing, still using titles, still treating Andrew like the man he used to be. It paints a picture of an institution caught between its past and its future, trying to adapt while stuck in the habits of deference. That's where figures like Lady Victoria Hervey come in. Her support of Andrew hasn't wavered, at least not publicly. She's defended him more than once, challenging the media narratives and insisting on his innocence. Her loyalty isn't performative. It's personal. Lady Victoria's presence at this kind of private gathering wouldn't be surprising. She belongs to that shrinking circle of allies who remain vocal despite the backlash. It's a rare stance in a world where public image often dictates allegiance. For her, loyalty has outlasted public pressure. But even among friends, discretion rules. Supporters like Hervey understand the stakes. They show up quietly, not for cameras or PR redemption, but for the sake of old ties. That's the emotional backbone of this gathering. Not influence, not politics, just a final act of loyalty in a house that's running out of time. And what about Sarah Ferguson? She's been in the public eye for decades, from scandal to redemption and back again. Through it all, she's remained closely tied to Andrew, not just as an ex-wife, but as a cohabitant, confidant, and co-defender. Her decision to remain in Royal Lodge with Andrew even after their divorce was always unconventional, but it now underscores her unwillingness to abandon him, especially when nearly everyone else has. She's been there through the worst of it. This Christmas isn't just a farewell to the property. It's another example of a defiance of the norms, the critics, and even palace expectations. Ferguson's role in this event isn't symbolic. It's central. Without her, there's no gathering. She is, in many ways, the last piece of Andrew's public support system. Kate Moss may not be a central figure in Andrew's orbit, but she has history with Ferguson. Their interactions at charity events and social spaces represent another layer to Sarah's more celebrity-driven circle. But even that world has changed. Today, associations with Fergie, let alone Andrew, carry reputational risk. And in a climate where every social media post and paparazzi photo is scrutinized, those celebrity connections have grown distant. The silence from one's friendly name speaks volumes. Kate Moss, while not directly tied to this gathering, represents a broader shift. The era of carefree royal socialite mingling is over. In its place is a more cautious, more curated interaction model, where every friendship is weighed against public perception and potential fallout. The Lodge, once again, sits at the center of this quiet unraveling. It's where tradition and scandal collide. A building that was supposed to be permanent now feels temporary. a royal home turned holding cell, waiting for the inevitable next chapter. This might be the last holiday season spent under that roof for Andrew and Fergie. Their continued residence has already sparked tabloid scrutiny and internal pressure. And if or when they leave, the departure won't be just logistical. It will be symbolic. That's why this gathering matters, not because of who attends, but because of where it's held. The lodge is a shrinking stage for two people whose lives have moved from the spotlight to the sidelines. It's both their fortress and their farewell venue. Andrew's insistence on remaining at Royal Lodge despite mounting pressure shows just how much the past still informs his sense of self. He sees a property not just as a home, but as a right, an entitlement earned through lineage, now threatened by scandal. And yet, no number of family ties or historical claims can shield him from public perception. He's a royal by blood, but no longer by role. The Christmas gathering, stripped of its old ceremonial flair, serves as a microcosm of that transformation. This isn't the confident prince of old. This is a man hosting what may be his final Christmas in the only place that still feels like his, with fewer guests, less fanfare, and a constant reminder that the world outside those gates no longer sees him the same way. The weight of the Epstein case remains unavoidable. No matter how quiet the lodge stays, the association hangs over every interaction. Legal battles may have quieted down, but the scandal hasn't gone anywhere. It's embedded in the narrative. The emails, the photographs, the names involved, every detail that resurfaces reinforces the reasons why the public and the palace continue to pull away. That's the lasting impact of the Epstein story. It ensures Andrew can never return to the life he once knew. This farewell gathering doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists as a reaction, a response to years of compounded reputational damage, a final act of normalcy staged against a backdrop of global discomfort and institutional rejection. Through it all, Sarah remains, not as a royal, not as a headline, but as the only one who never walked away. She's the only figure in this saga who stayed when it stopped being convenient, who chose loyalty even when it meant isolation. Her presence now is about more than love or habit. It's about shared consequence. The consequences of past choices, shared spaces, and unwavering support. This farewell gathering is as much about her as it is about Andrew, because she never left. The image of Royal Lodge as a royal sanctuary has faded. What's left is a reminder of how temporary status can be, even for someone born into the firm. The property may still carry a royal lease, but the perception of permanence is gone. Every garland hung this year, every table setting laid out for guests, carries the weight of a potential goodbye. This house was once a private luxury hidden behind Windsor's more famous landmarks. It hosted royals, dignitaries, and quiet family moments shielded from public view. But now it's something else entirely. A holding space, a symbol of how fast public perception can change a narrative, and how even the grandest addresses can feel unstable under pressure. The farewell feel of this gathering doesn't need an announcement. It's understood. Everyone invited, if they come at all, knows what this moment means. It's not just the end of season. It's the end of a claim. And Andrew knows it. His insistence on staying at Royal Lodge for as long as possible feels like one of the last things he believes he still controls. The walls of the lodge may not be able to speak, but they've seen his transformation, from high-ranking royal to pariah in exile. There's no easy path back to the life he once had. No role to slide back into, no wave from the palace balcony that will reset the clock. His name triggers headlines that no royal comms team can manage anymore. And this gathering, no matter how private, is shaped by that context. This is not about nostalgia. It's about clinging to relevance in a world that has moved on. Andrew isn't hosting to celebrate the season. He's hosting because this might be the last setting where he still gets to play the part of duke and host. And while the gates of Royal Lodge are closed to most of the public, the silence from the rest of the royal family speaks louder than any statement. There is no public plan for reconciliation, no hint of support from William, Charles, or any of the senior royals. The separation isn't just logistical, it's strategic. Even behind the scenes, the tone has changed. Whatever deference may still exist among long-serving staff doesn't reflect the official royal position. The firm has moved into a damage control mindset, one that increasingly prioritizes clean lines and strict separation from scandal. The monarchy's path forward is rooted in survival, not sentiment. And that means moments like this, quiet, personal, and tinged with finality, are left for Andrew to navigate on his own. Sarah, for all her public ups and downs, is the only person who still shows up, always has. The press might roll its eyes, and public opinion might shift, but Ferguson never walked away when things got difficult. That loyalty isn't performative, it's proven. This gathering reflects that dynamic clearly. No one else is co-hosting. No one else is filling seats or pouring wine. Just her, managing the details and making space for what remains of their shared world. It's not glamorous, but it's real. And in royal circles, that's rare. Her presence isn't just symbolic of support, it's symbolic of consequence. She chose to stand by Andrew, and now she shares in the cost of that decision. The shrinking guest list, the cautious whispers, the looming uncertainty over Royal Lodge. They're living it together. But there's no gathering, no holiday moment that can exist outside the context of Epstein. Not anymore. Every step Andrew takes is now filtered through that scandal. Every relationship he has is shadowed by it. Every friend who attends this alleged gathering knows what they are walking into. This isn't about legal outcomes anymore. It's about the long shadow of association. His fall from grace was slow, but complete. The documents, the photo leaks, the interviews, they collectively turned him into a cautionary tale. This Christmas, in many ways, cements that shift. It's not a comeback. It's not an effort to reset the narrative. It's an acknowledgement, quiet and private, that the world outside the lodge has changed, and the doors may not open again. Thanks for sticking with this breakdown of what could be the most emotionally loaded Christmas in royal memory. If this story gave you something to think about, like the video, share it with others following the saga, and hit subscribe so you're first in line for the next twist.